don't look at these figures and facts in isolation. So don't just focus on what's happened in 1 month. You know, we typically talk that you've got to look at least a 90-day trend, if not longer. And ideally, what you're looking for is to see what is the long-term trend, where are the opportunities you might be able to leverage. But don't forget, it's not all about getting the timing right. It's about making sure you have time in the market. So, Greg, do you want to come join us? I know you've been studying, you've been looking stressed, and I know you love numbers. And we were going to get them up on the big screen here, but everyone, Greg said, I don't need the numbers on the screen. I'm going to just hit you with it. And if it confuses him, it'll probably confuse all of you. So, you know, Greg, as I was just saying to everyone, the market is probably the #1 question everyone asks us. And typically you say, and we all say, don't worry about the market because it's not that important, but it is important to understand it. So just tell us, CoreLogic, they put out the monthly stats as they always do. Give us a highlight. What are the sort of key things that's happened for the month and the rolling 12 months?
Well, up to now, everybody, they look at it and they say, well, it's the first time we've seen things appear to be slowing down. But we've got to put that into perspective. Since April last year, we've seen some crazy increases every month. So when we look at an overall percentage of 0.6%, which is what the national is.
So that's the national just for the month of Feb?
That's just for the month of Feb.
And that's positive?
That's actually positive.
Okay.
So we're not talking about housing values going down. That 0.6% is referring to the increase relative to it. So it's only gone up by 0.6. So it's still going up.
We've almost become like addicts, haven't we? We've gotten so used to seeing over 1%, but the second we see something that's less than a whole percent for the month, we start to get the jitters.
And the one thing we always try and focus on as well is Melbourne, Sydney. Those are the two biggest markets. So some of the other places are seeing some varied things, but overall, Melbourne has been fairly level. Sydney has seen a decrease first time. But it's important to look at that into perspective. Okay.
And I think we've mentioned it before, Greg. I don't know if you've got the numbers there, but I think we said somewhere just those two housing markets make up in terms of numbers and values 70-75% of Australian housing markets. So they're the key markets.
And you look at Sydney in terms of how they performed. Sydney has gone absolutely berserk over the last 17 months. So we're looking at returns of an average of 25%. And now they've seen the first time this month it's retracting slightly. Considering how it's performed against other markets, it's not.
And when you say retracting slightly, give us a number.
0.1%.
Okay. So we've gone up 25% in the last rolling 12 months. Now it's 24.9%.
Exactly.
Sounds like a pretty good result to me. If I own houses in Sydney, I'd be pretty happy with that.
You're going to be exceptionally happy. Melbourne is sort of stabilizing. So again, we're not seeing a crash. We're just seeing things going. It's still moving in the right direction, but not at the crazy pace we've seen in the last 17 months.
And I think we've talked about it a lot as well, Greg, that Melbourne perhaps, every area is running its own race, but didn't get as strong a growth as Sydney had. So perhaps is going to, continue to grow a little bit as Sydney starts to come off a little bit.
I think that'll be, as we've always said, Melbourne, we had all the big lockdowns, all this.
We're marathon runners here, aren't we?
We got to do.
We just do it long and hard, and you keep going.
You keep pushing, and we'll start catching up.
Whereas I guess Sydney, we see more is, the 100 meter, 200 meter sprinters. They're out there. They get a big result.
And the flashy guys like yourself.
Yes, well. So, Greg, tell us, what are some of the reasons why you're sort of seeing that there is becoming a bit of a slowdown in the growth rate?
There's quite a few things. First, fiscal policy.
Sounds like a big fancy word.
It's a huge word. But that is all what the government incentives that they had to try and keep the economy going during the pandemic. Those are being retracted. We've seen interest rates being raised. So your fixed interest rates, we always tell people, lock them in. We told you.
No one listened probably, but
but they have increased. So interest rates, fiscal policy, in terms of affordability, things like that, then start putting pressures on the market to say, right, now you can't have those crazy increases. We'll start leveling and actually reaching a normalization point. That's important. It's not going backwards. It's getting normalizing. And that's a very important part. And
I guess you were telling me before, you said, listen, it's not that bad. It's actually not a bad thing that we're starting to slow down a little bit.
we're seeing some, in terms of listings, supply and demand, finding that level. At one stage, we had a massive people trying to buy stuff, no supply. It's pushed the market. A few of these other things, we're now seeing stabilizing, but at the same time, it's not crashing. It's just stabilizing, and that's good.
Now, lastly, quick question for you before I let you go. For all the investors on the line, most people as investors are in the inner city markets of Sydney and Melbourne.
Yes.
And I've been telling everyone for the last 2 years, it's been shit house, right?
Yep.
Rents haven't been good.
Yep.
Vacancies have been, at high levels compared to what we're expecting.
Yeah.
Where's that market heading? What are we starting to see in the facts and figures?
The fact that we still don't have international people coming in. We've already seen an increase even without that. So, and when you say, people might say, why? The affordability of regionals and other people where everybody rushed to has gone crazy. So we've had that market, people moving back into the inner city saying, well, this offers great value. So we're seeing a steady increase in rents. The moment borders open, I think we're going to see some really good returns coming back for our investors.
And I guess farmers want a wife, don't they? So they come to the city to find a wife.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We're sitting out in Whoop Whoop. There's no girls out there.
Yep. All right. Good. All right, Greg, any last thoughts you want to share with anyone? Anything you think we've missed?
I just think that the good thing is that people love to see their houses going crazy in terms of value. It's now stabilizing, but over the long term, what we've always say, not timing the market, but time in the market. Over time, your property in Australia, Melbourne, Sydney, it's got an upward growth. So we'll see some stabilization and we'll continue to see things grow.
And any sort of insider tip for everyone out there, where do you see the value is in a particular area, particular type of property?
It's apartments.
Yep. Okay.
We've stressed this before. The differentiation between the value of apartments and housing is crazy and it's got to get to where it's normalization. So there's going to be some definite capital growth in apartments over time.
All right. Good.
All right.
All right, Greg. Thank you
very much.
Appreciate all the numbers. It was good.
Thank you.